Then, in the summary of obligatory knowledge, the next topic the Sheikh addressed is the obligations of the guardians. The obligations of the guardians, and who are the guardians? The guardians include the guardians of the children, and the guardians include also the Muslim rulers. Muslim rulers are guardians, type of guardian. So there are some obligations on the guardians. Now, this section is interjected into the book of purification and prayer, but it's not limited as far as the obligation of a guardian. It's not limited to purification and prayer. Because the guardian of the child is obligated to make sure, yani, if this child reached mental discerning, mental discerning, then the guardian of this child is going to be obligated to get this child educated. Yani, on a basic level, as a child, what this child can comprehend. The basics. This is going to make sure that this child learns basic belief in very simple terms, like this child is going to be taught Allah exists, and Allah is not like the creation. Whatever you can imagine, Allah is different. He doesn't have a body or a shape or a color, and He's not in a place. He's not up or down or left or right. The child can understand this. And he's going to be taught such things as Allah sent prophets. The first one was Adam, and the last one and the greatest one is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he's going to be taught about the attributes of the prophets. And this child's going to be taught that as Muslims, we're obligated to pray once the person becomes accountable. You're even going to teach the child about becoming accountable. You're going to teach the child that he's not accountable yet. He's going to know that. He's going to understand that he's not sinful yet. And then hopefully that's not mischievous child who's going to take that to his advantage and wreak havoc, knowing that he's not sinful, and then becomes pubescent one who's a problem. Inshallah is going to be a nice, sweet kid, nice one. Maybe gets in trouble sometimes, like kids do, but not sinful before reaching puberty, not accountable before reaching puberty. And this child's going to be taught, though, that when you reach puberty, you'll be obligated to fast. We fast Ramadan, and if you have money, you're going to pay the zakat, and if you're able to, you have to perform the Hajj. And this child's going to be also taught about other basic beliefs too, like Allah created angels, and Allah created paradise and hell, and that the prophets were sent to teach the people right from wrong, and to show the people the obligations, and that on Judgment Day the people will be judged for their deeds, and that this child's going to be taught we're obligated to believe that people are going to come back to life. And also this child's going to be taught uh, that about the sins, like that lying is haram, and stealing is haram, and even this child's going to be taught that zina is haram, and sodomy is haram, and beating a Muslim is haram. Well, we're actually going to mention something here about disciplining the child, but at the moment we're just talking about what the child needs to be taught. After the child reaches mental discerning or mental discrimination. What is this mental discerning, though? This mental discerning for male and female children, it usually happens around 7 lunar years old, which is about 6.5 years old, solar years. If the child is especially bright, it might happen earlier. 5 years old, 4 years old, could even happen before that. There's documentation of Muslim children who reached mental discerning even around 3 years old. Imagine a 3-year-old child talking and understanding you. SubhanAllah. That's possible. Yeah, so that's mental discerning. We just want to explain what is mental discerning. So how can you gauge it? You gauge it by testing the child. Yeah, and you're going to reach a point where you think maybe my child now or this child here is or has mental discerning. So you're going to test this child. So you're going to say, okay, we're going to test you. You ready to start praying? You're going to say, yeah, I want to pray. I want to pray with you. So, okay, because you can't pray as long as you're not mentally, as long as you're not mumayyiz. If you're still not mumayyiz, just watch us pray only. We don't tell the little child who's not mumayyiz, the one who's below mental discerning, we don't tell them to pray with us. We tell them, watch us pray. Just sit down and watch. Or if they pray, like, not pray, I mean to say, if they play, like, just get up and bend over with you, they're just playing. But we're not going to tell them to do that. So we're going to say, okay, you want to pray, huh? Yes, yes. Okay. So then let me test you. If you pass the test, then that means you're going to be able to pray with us. So let me ask you some questions. First question I want to ask you is, how many days are in a week? Now, these are only examples. Just you want to gauge this child's ability to think. So you might say, how many days are there in a week? So one child's going to say 7 immediately. And not from memory. You're not going to pass the child because he can answer from memory. You're going to pass the child because he can answer from comprehension. So you want to ask him questions to test his comprehension, not his memory. So you're going to tell him, how many days are there in a week? So he might say 7. From comprehension means he understands what the week is. Or he might say, then you give him a chance. 7? Yes, correct answer. Okay. Let me ask you another question. How many times does Friday come every week? So that bright one, he's going to say 1 time immediately, for example, because he comprehends. And the other one, he's going to say 2. Then you might say, try again. Think about it. So then he says, okay. 1? Yes, correct answer, because he thought about it and then he understood. He says, 1? Yes, yes, correct. Say, okay. Now let me ask you another question here. I want to make sure. Can you tell me how many months are in a year? So the bright one is going to say 12. And the other one might say 5. Do you know the months? Can you say them to me? Yeah, okay, count them too while you tell me. Say them and count them at the same time. Okay, January, February, March, April. How many is that? 12. Okay, so how many months are in a year? 12. Okay. I still want to ask you though. How many times does Ramadan come every year? Or how many times does January come every year, for example? So the bright one is going to say 1 time, and the other one maybe is going to say 5 times? So, no, try again. 1 time? Yes. Okay, so if it were me here, I'm making up the scenario. But if it's me, I'm going to pass both of those. Just one of them just needed some time to think, but he demonstrated to me that he understands. Just need to think a little bit. Maybe because he's a little bit slow, maybe, or maybe just because he's young, just needs to think a little bit. But he can. But there's another one too. You're gonna ask him how many days are in a week. He's gonna say 4. No, try again. 10. Wait, can you say them for me? Say them and count them on your finger while you say them. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. So how many days are in a week? 5? So this one I'm not gonna pass it. Can you tell me how many times Friday comes in a week? 2? Count it out for me. 5? Okay, so no. You can't pray yet. You have to wait a little bit longer. D's gonna be disappointed. It's okay. Inshallah ta'ala, soon you're gonna pray with us. Some scholars said that the child has mental discerning when he can independently eat and drink and make istinja. Independently. Independently eat and drink and make istinja. Any question? Now, you should know that it's not permissible to leave the Muslim child in the custody of a kafir if the child cannot protect himself from that kafir, from the harm of that kafir. Because maybe that kafir, no, not permissible. Not as long as the child can't protect himself from the harm of that kafir, because that kafir might give him haram meat. Or, uh, or he might let that child not pray. And so, and I already told you, you're going to teach the child. And amongst what you're going to teach the child is the Fatiha and how to pray and how to make wudu and how to make istinja. And you're going to observe the child for the prayer, for the wudu. You're going to observe the child uh, at first. So you're going to watch him make wudu. Say, okay, make wudu with me. This is how we do it. Okay. And then eventually you're going to say, now you make wudu. I'm going to watch you. And then you're going to watch him make wudu. You're going to see, for example, how he missed a spot on the side of his face. You tell him, no, you have to get all the way to the ear. Can't leave that dry there. Go past the up, include your elbows, etc. And you're going to show him how to pray. And then you're going to watch him pray. Say, now you pray, I'm going to stand here and watch you. And then he's going to start praying after you taught him. And then when he starts looking around, you tell him, stop looking around. You focus in your prayer. And like this. And if he invalidates his prayer, you're going to make him repeat it. And you're going to tell him, for example, every time you invalidate your prayer, I'm going to make you repeat it. Don't invalidate your prayer. And if he invalidates it too much, he's going to get frustrated and start crying. No, that's it. You got to pray properly. Don't invalidate your prayer. And then he's going to get used to it. Inshallah ta'ala. And you're going to wake up the child for Fajr prayer sometimes. Sometimes means not all the time. It's not obligatory all the time, which you could, but if you didn't, it's not haram, but sometimes you have to. And when this child is 7 lunar years and has mental discerning, then this obligation on the guardian, to order this child to pray, this will be an obligation on the guardian to order this child to pray. If the child reaches mental discerning before 7 lunar years, it's not obligatory on the guardian to command the child to pray. But if the child were to pray, it will be valid because the condition is fulfilled, the condition of having mental discerning. But so if this child is a very smart one and he's talking and comprehending at 5 years old or 4 years old, for example, it's going to be talking at 5, but comprehending very well enough, yeah, is advanced. Then still, though, not obligatory to command this child to pray until that child becomes 7 lunar years. But if someone did have a child like that, then let him take advantage and teach that child, because this is the stuff of scholars. Child like that is the stuff of scholars. So you're going to take advantage so that this one, inshallah, can become knowledgeable and then benefit the Muslims later. And going to order this child also at 7 lunar years to fast, if fasting is not harmful. Now, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he commanded us that if the child does not pray by the time he's 10 lunar years old, then you spank him. Yani, you're going to command him. And then if he doesn't pray, you spank him. And the spanking here, it should hurt, because that's the point of it. Meaning, the point is to benefit the child so that the child will pray. But what if you spank him and he still doesn't pray? Then you don't spank him, because there's no benefit. Why are you spanking him and he's not going to pray? At that point, you're spanking him just because you're mad at him. You know he's not going to pray. So that means there's no benefit here. So then you don't spank him. Spanking him is going to be smacking his butt, smacking the bottom of his feet, for example, and make him feel the pain without torturing him, without bruising him. This is for the child, not for the wife. You don't spank the wife for not praying. And the same thing for fasting. So you're going to command the child to fast at 7 lunar years. You're going to spank the child for not fasting at 10. And you catch him sneaking something out the kitchen, out the refrigerator or whatever. And then you're going to spank him for that at 10 lunar years. Him or her. Those things that is going to give the child some character, actually. It's going to be really beneficial, actually, for the child. And he's going to appreciate you, inshallah, when he grows up for what you did. Or else, what's going to happen? Somebody's going to have a child running all over and falling out all over the supermarket floor, negotiating with his own child. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. This spanking is obligatory on the guardian for the prayer and the fasting, if it benefits the child. So we're talking about as far as the obligation is concerned. That's not to say you can't spank the child for another reason, but this one here is obligatory. No, it doesn't bruise the child, and also he doesn't shock the child, like to shout at the child in a way to make his body shake. That's haram. And he has to teach the child the rewardability of the siwak, the toothstick. And he gets the child a toothstick, he's going to like using that toothstick. They like those things. A lot of times, if you encourage the child to do some things that's sunnah when they're little, they like it. But some people, they say, nah, they're playing. Like maybe it's a girl. You say, you can wear a niqab if you want to. So maybe she's going to wear a niqab because she likes the idea, even if she's small. But there's some people going to say, no, you don't wear the niqab. No, you're just playing. So that's unfortunate there, because let's say that one is playing. Maybe that person really, yeah, just like you're going to let the little boy wear a kufi. You can let the girl wear a niqab if she wants to. It's not haram. Doesn't mean she's playing. Yeah. Just like you can let the little boy wear a kufi. If he wears a kufi, you're not going to say, you're playing. Take that kufi off. So you don't have to do that if a little girl wants to wear a niqab on her face. Why not encourage her to do something good there? Say, mashallah, make sure you correct your intention though. Don't play. That's all. If the person says, I'm going to allow my child to be Muslim, or I'm going to let my child choose to be a Muslim if he wants to. If that statement means, I will allow him to commit blasphemy if he wants to, then that's blasphemy. Well, the statement itself, one might say it's not explicit itself anyway. That's why I answered it this way. If someone says, I will let my child choose to be a Muslim, uh, what does that mean? You mean if that child chooses to be a kafir, you will accept? So maybe a person say, no, 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 I don't mean that. So I'll say, what are you talking about? I don't really understand how you're putting these words together. It's weird for me. That's what I would say to him. Sounds to me like you're saying, I will accept for my child to commit blasphemy. So that's blasphemy. They said, I will accept for my child to choose not to be Muslim. If they said it that way, that's definitely blasphemy. That's clear blasphemy. If a person denies an obligation that's known in the religion to be obligatory by necessity, known by necessity to be obligatory. Not any obligation, because remember, some of the knowledge, even though it's correct knowledge, there's an amount of knowledge that the laymen don't know. Only the people of knowledge know. So we're not talking about that. So, so we'll stop here then. Then next time we still need to cover the obligation of the Muslim rulers. Inshallah ta'ala. No, we talk about the caliph, for example, because when we talk about the obligation of the Muslim ruler, then this is going to include doing such things as executing punishments. So we're not talking merely about a chief of a of a tribe, for example. Even if he's chief, doesn't mean he can stone someone to death or behead someone or the like, or cut somebody's hand off. Well, not that the conditions aren't there, but there just isn't a caliph, because the people who have the power to put a caliph in power are not doing so. Like all the Muslim countries, like all across North Africa and in the Arabian Peninsula and in the Sham, talking about Jordan, Syria, for example, Morocco, all Egypt, all these places, all the rulers of these countries, they have the ability to say, okay, let's put Fulan in charge as caliph, but they're not doing it. The layman, we don't have the power to put a caliph in power, but people who are in power and who have influence, they have the ability. They're the ones who are going to be, on Yawm al Qiyamah, they're going to have very serious something to deal with. Yeah, that's haram. The Muslims need a caliph. Right now, because the caliph is going to, he's going to strengthen up the Muslim armies. He's going to protect their borders. He's going to set up their zakat department. He's going to fix the Muslim treasury. All those Muslim countries should be in step with each other. There should be a Muslim treasury that the Muslims can benefit from. All of that's missing now. Instead, what we have now is just broken Muslim countries. We should have, Yani, you could look at all the Muslim countries and see, like, if you look at a map of all the Muslim countries, that map of all the Muslim countries, that should be one great empire, which it's not. Shouldn't be broken countries, each one with his own leader. This one has a king, this one has a president, this one has these rules, this one has those rules. I haven't heard a detail here. Yeah, that's definitely haram because they have the ability. They have the ability to bring a caliph.